With these anonymous quotes, we welcome you to another edition of this wonderful program on Radio Education Today. Education Today is a program that aims to call the attention of the public to education matters as they affect the effective running of educational system and the achievement of educational goals as far as Nigeria and beyond is concerned. This comes on air every Saturday on this station, Light Radio. I am Nima Ibrahim, and good afternoon. Our goal is to educate, inform, orientate, and entertain the society on educational matters, address issues affecting the educational system, influence public opinions, and drive effective educational policy directions to guide the formulators and implementers. So your comments, questions, and contributions, feel free to reach us on Facebook via facebook.com/Light Radio, on X at The Light Radio, no spacing, on Instagram Lights_Radio, and on YouTube Light Radio. You can also call or send a message to us via SMS or WhatsApp on the number 0809 738 4000. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, the program begins in full swing. Please stay with us. Welcome back, and if you just joined in, you are listening to Education Today on Light Radio, and we kick off with the news with my humble self. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the news on Education Today, reaching you live from Light Radio. I remain Nima Ibrahim. First, the headlines. Federal government launches digital quality assurance platform to boost basic education. Kaduna government to return 200,000 out-of-school children to school. We didn't stop under 18-year-old students from writing WASC, NECO, Minister. And on the foreign scene, 7 Republican states oppose Biden student loan forgiveness plan. And now the details. The federal government has unveiled an electronic quality assurance system, the Federal Education Quality Assurance Service Cloud Server, FECAS Collect, aimed at enhancing the quality of basic and secondary education delivery in the country. The Minister of State for Education, Dr. Yusuf Sununu, officially launched the platform at a ceremony held at the Universal Basic Education Commission UBEC Digital Resource Center in Abuja. He explained that the system is designed to streamline the collection, analysis, and reporting of data related to educational quality in schools nationwide. The cloud server is expected to revolutionize the operations of the FECAS department by enhancing data capturing and management, streamlining processes, boosting collaboration and efficient reporting, as well as ensuring scalability and flexibility, and fortifying security and data protection. Meanwhile, the Executive Secretary of the JUBEC, Dr. Hamid Boboyi, noted that the manual conduct of school quality assurance evaluations had been fraught with challenges such as delays and human errors, and as such, the Commission had adopted digital technology to promote flexibility, accuracy, and timely reporting to reduce human errors. Lastly, Dr. Boboyi expressed satisfaction with the innovation, which he said has helped officers conduct their work more efficiently and provide timely feedback to schools and stakeholders. The Deputy Governor of Kaduna, Hajia Adiza Balarabe, has said 200,000 out-of-school children will be returned to school within the shortest possible time. She made this known at a signing agreement between the Reaching Out of School Project in Kaduna, ROOSC, and the United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, held at the Sir Kashim Ibrahim Government House, Kaduna, on Friday. She noted that the partnership marks a crucial step in the government's shared commitment to ensuring that children in Kaduna State have access to quality education irrespective of their circumstances. The initiative, according to her, seeks to transform that narrative by providing these vulnerable children with a pathway to education, opportunities, and a brighter future ahead. The Federal Ministry of Education has clarified that the ministry has not stopped students who are not up to 18 years old from writing the West Africa Senior School Certificate Examination (WASC) and the National Examinations Council (NECO) exams. The Minister of State for Education, Dr. Yusuf Sununu, clarified on Friday in Abuja while fielding questions from journalists at an event to mark the 2024 International Literacy Day, ILD. Sununu said that the public misconception and misinterpretation of what was said by the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, was highly disappointing. He also said that the minister was actually speaking on the 18 years of entry age into the tertiary institutions, as was practiced in the 6334 system of education. And speaking on the International Literacy Day, Sununu underscored the critical role of literacy in fostering mutual understanding, peace, and socio-economic development. He also reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to addressing literacy challenges through the Education for Renewed Hope roadmap between the years 2024 to 2027. The National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, has called on the federal government to prioritize reducing the high cost of education rather than focusing on student loans. Henry Okuomo, the Senate President of NANS, made this appeal during an appearance on a television program on Friday. He argued that lowering education costs would be more beneficial to Nigerian students than the current loan scheme, which may be challenging to repay due to current high unemployment rates. Okuomo suggested that instead of offering loans, the government should significantly reduce tuition fees at tertiary institutions to between 20,000 naira and 50,000 naira. Furthermore, he emphasized that affordable education would be accessible to more students, whereas the current loan system with its unclear repayment terms may not be feasible for graduates struggling to find employment. And on the foreign scene, 7 Republican-led states have filed a lawsuit on Tuesday to challenge President Joe Biden's administration's latest student debt forgiveness plan, saying the U.S. Department of Education was taking steps to start canceling loans as soon as this week. The lawsuit came less than a week after the U.S. Supreme Court rejected the Biden administration's bid to revive a different student debt relief plan that was designed to lower monthly payments for millions of borrowers and speed loan forgiveness for some. In a lawsuit filed in federal court in Brunswick, Georgia, state attorneys general took aim at a rule the Education Department proposed in April that would provide for a waiver of federal student loan debt for an estimated 27.6 million borrowers. Attorneys general from states including Georgia and Missouri say the recently obtained documents showing the Education Department has instructed federal loan servicers to begin canceling hundreds of billions of dollars of loans as early as either Tuesday or Saturday before the rule was finalized. Apparently, the department under Biden has already approved $169 billion in debt relief for nearly 4.8 million people. That's all on the news for today. But before we go, another look at the top stories. Kaduna government to return 200,000 out of school children to school. We didn't stop under 18-year-old students from writing WASC, NECO, says Minister. And from NANS to federal government, instead of loans, make tuition fee affordable for students. While on the foreign scene, 7 Republican states oppose Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. And that's the news, which was compiled by Nima Ibrahim and edited by OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Do not forget, for your coverage of your educational events, seminars, fairs, competitions, trainings, among others, you can call us on 0702 507 4268, or you send us an email on educationmediaservices@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Education Today continues in a moment. Please don't go nowhere.
Ẹ̀kọ́ dára púpọ̀, ẹ̀kọ́ ló láyé táwa yìí sẹ́. Ẹ̀kọ́ dára púpọ̀, ẹ̀kọ́ ló láyé táwa yìí sẹ́. Ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga, ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọlá. Ẹ dákun yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga, ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọlá. Ẹ dákun yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Ẹ dákun yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Kò gba ẹ̀kọ́, ó dáni lójú pé yóò jìyà. Iṣẹ́ burúkú ni wọ́n ń ṣe, tí wọ́n bá jalè wọ́n wá tún fọ́lé. Ẹ dákun yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Iṣẹ́ burúkú ni wọ́n ń ṣe, tí wọ́n bá jalè wọ́n wá tún fọ́lé. Ẹ dákun yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Ẹ dákun yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa.
Welcome back, and right now we'll take the country in focus with Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Good afternoon, Mr. KAZEEM.
Good afternoon, Nima.
All right, you have the floor.
You're welcome to the Country in Focus segment, where we consider a particular country of the world, its basic features, and most importantly, its system, educational system for the benefit of our listeners. I am OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. The country in focus today is India. The Republic of India is a country in South Asia. It is the 7th largest country by area, the most populous country with effect from June 2023, and from the time of its independence in 1947, the world's most populous democracy. Bounded by the Indian Ocean on the south, the Arabian Sea on the southwest, and the Bay of Bengal on the southeast, it shares land borders with Pakistan to the west, China, Nepal, and Bhutan to the north, and Bangladesh and Myanmar to the east. Its capital is New Delhi, and the largest cities are Mumbai and Delhi. Its official languages are Hindi and English, with as many as 447 native languages. It practices a bicameral parliamentary system of government headed by a prime minister. India experienced colonialism through the British East India Company from 1757. British Crown rule began in 1858 up until 1947 when the British Indian Empire was partitioned into two independent dominions, a Hindu majority dominion of India and a Muslim majority dominion of Pakistan, amid large-scale loss of life and an unprecedented migration. India has been a federal republic since 1950. It is a pluralistic, multilingual, and multi-ethnic society. India's population grew from 361 million in 1951 to almost 1.4 billion in 2022, with an annual growth rate of 1.2%. During the same time, its nominal per capita income increased from $64 annually to $2,601, and its literacy rate from 16.6% to 77.7%. From being a comparatively destitute country in 1951, India has become the fifth largest economy in the world, having a nominal GDP of $2.7 trillion. It is a fast-growing major economic hub and a hub. It is a fast-growing major economy and a hub for IT services, pharmaceuticals, automobiles, textiles, and agricultural products with an expanding middle class. India has a space program with several planned or completed extraterrestrial missions. Indian movies, music, and spiritual teachings play an increasing role in global culture. India has substantially reduced its rate of poverty, though at the cost of increasing economic inequality. India is a nuclear weapon state which ranks high in military expenditure. There are different religions in India, including Hinduism, which constitutes 79.8%, Islam constituting 14.2%, Christianity 2.3%, Sikhism 1.7%, Buddhism 0.8%, Jainism 0.4%, among others. In terms of its education, the educational system in India is a complex and multifaceted one with a range of institutions, curricula, and pedagogies. It is structured into primary education for age 5 to 14 years, which is free and compulsory education for all children. Secondary education for ages 14 to 18, divided into two stages: lower secondary for age 14 to 16 and higher secondary for age 16 to 18. Higher education is for 18 and above years and includes undergraduate, postgraduate, and research programs. The institutions are of different types, including government schools, which are free, established by the government and funded by the government. We have private schools, which are fee-paying institutions, often with better infrastructure and resources. There are aided schools, which are private schools receiving government aid. Then you also have some other governmental institutions like the Central Board for Secondary Education, CBSE, which conducts exams and sets curricula. Indian Certificate of Secondary Education, ICSE, is a private board conducting exams and setting curricula. The higher education in India comprises universities, colleges, vocational training institutions, both owned and operated by the central, state, and private universities offering higher education. Notable institutions in India include the Indian Institutes of Technology, IITs, Indian Institutes of Management, IIMs, Jawaharlal Nehru University, JNU, National Institute of Technology, NITs. Then you also have the University of Delhi and the University of Mumbai. There are several challenges facing the educational system in India, including accessibilities as a result of disparities in access to quality education, particularly for marginalized communities. We also have infrastructural challenges, including classroom toilets and technology. We also have teacher training, where there are needs for better teacher training and support. You also have the debate around curriculum relevance and emphasis on rote learning, as well as examination pressure, where high-stake examinations lead to student stress and pressure. India's educational system faces challenges though, but there are ongoing reforms and initiatives to address these issues and create a more inclusive and effective educational system. That's it on the Country in Focus segment for today. I hope you have learned something about the Republic of India. I remain OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Education Today continues in a moment. Please stay with us.
Welcome back, and that was the Country in Focus. And right now, we'll take the profession of the week with Mr. OLUBUNMI still taking us through what we have for you.
All right. Good day and welcome again to this segment for the profession of the week. I am OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. On this segment, we x-ray a particular professional field of human endeavor within the educational sector, and I will be telling you what it is about, the knowledge and educational qualifications required for admission into tertiary institutions, years of training required, and schools that have the accreditation to offer these courses. Today, we are considering international relations. What is international relations? International relations and diplomacy is a career path that offers opportunities to engage with global issues, foster international cooperation, and promote the interests of countries on the global stage. Here are some potential career paths and specializations for those that are interested. An expert in international relations can pick a career path along the following lines. 1. Being a diplomat, where you represent a country in foreign missions, international organization, or diplomatic corps. You also have foreign service officer for a person who works in the country's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, handling diplomatic correspondence, negotiations, and policy analysis. You also have international organization staff, where a person can join organizations like the United Nations, African Union, ECOWAS, World Trade Organization, and among others, working on global issues and development projects. Policy analyst, where a person analyzes and develops policies for government, think tanks, or private sector organizations on international relations and diplomacy. You also have conflict resolution specialist, where a person works on resolving conflicts, negotiating peace agreements, and promoting sustainable peace in a country and globally. Then you also have global development professional, where this is a situation where someone engages in international development projects focusing on areas like poverty reduction, health, education, and economic growth. They also have trade and investment specialist, where a person promotes a country's trade and investment interests abroad, facilitating economic cooperation and partnerships. To be successful in this field, a person needs to acquire relevant education, that is, you study international relations, diplomacy, political science, or related fields. You gain practical experience by engaging in internships, fellowships, or volunteer work with government agencies, NGOs, or international organizations. Then you also need to develop language skills by attaining proficiency in multiple languages, including English, French, Arabic, and other United Nations languages. They also need to network and build relationships by engaging with professionals in the field, attending conferences, and participating in diplomatic events. You also need to stay updated on global issues by continuously updating your knowledge on international relations, global events, and foreign policy of different countries. Then you can also consider a graduate degree. A master's or PhD in international relations or related field can enhance your career prospects. You might also need to join professional associations like here in Nigeria, we have the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, Nigerian Society for International Law, or other relevant organizations. Remember, a career in international relations and diplomacy requires dedication, hard work, and a passion for global issues and cooperation. For economic rewards, most professionals in international relations are considered expatriates and are paid in foreign currencies, depending on the country's wage policy or the country of assignment where a person is deployed. The academic requirement. To study international relations, a student is expected to be in the Arts or Humanities department at the senior secondary school level. Other requirements include 5 O-level credits at the SSA level in English language, mathematics, government, economics, and geography. Then for your UTME, you need to choose international relations or associated courses as your course and score above the cutoff mark. The required subjects are English language, government, geography, and any other course depending on the choice of institution. For direct entry, you need to hold a diploma or NCA in international relations or related fields. Many schools offering international relations in Nigeria often do so in conjunction with other courses like history, diplomacy, strategic studies, global studies, peace and conflict studies, international law, and some other international languages. Some of these schools also offer it at undergraduate or postgraduate levels, so you need to check on the website of each school or the JAMB brochure for specific details. When choosing a school, consider factors like accreditation, faculty expertise, research opportunities, and alumni network. That's it for the Profession of the Week segment for today. I remain OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Stay informed and enlightened as education continues in a moment. Don't go anywhere.
and you are still on to Education Today on Light Radio. And right now, we are moving into the discuss segment, and our guest is very much here with us. So, on this edition, we are discussing the federal government's 18-year-old policy to qualify for SSC and UTME in Nigeria. Once again, the topic of discourse for this edition is the federal government's 18-year-old policy to qualify for writing the WASC, ANECO, and even UTME in Nigeria. So on Monday, 26th August 2024, the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, announced that from 2025, public examination bodies like WAEC and NECO will check the age requirements of candidates sitting for the senior school certificate examination in Nigeria, as a way of reinforcing the implementation of the policy, barring candidates below 18 years from securing admission into tertiary educational institutions in the country. Wow, that's huge. So this news has elicited different reactions from different segments of the society, and from outright condemnation and rejection to support and called for modification of the policy. There has been no consensus among Nigerians on this matter. We have some people supporting the motion, while we have some people against it, and we have some people that they are basically indifferent about that. Anyone that you want, they should do. Maybe shall write exam and enter school. So, as an extension of this, on the program today, we want to examine this policy. We want to weigh its pros and cons, as well as proper way forward on the matter. And joining us on the program today, we have an educational administrator, a lecturer, a researcher, an educational consultant, and our very own in-house analyst. We're talking about no other than the Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Good afternoon, Mr. KAZEEM.
Good afternoon, Nima. Good afternoon to our listeners. It's a pleasure to be here as always.
Yeah, thank you. And do not forget, you can be part of the discourse by sending your comments, questions, suggestions, contributions, what have you, to 0809 738 4000. The number again, 0809 738 4000. Or you can drop them as comments via our live video feeds on Facebook and YouTube. So before moving into the discourse proper, we have a short quiz, as usual. And the question is, in what year did India gain independence? We featured India, it just gave us some information about India a few minutes ago. So, India as a country, featured on today's Country in Focus, gained their independence in what year? Send your answer to the WhatsApp number 0809 738 4000 or drop it as a comment under our Facebook or YouTube live feed. And the first correct answer wins the prize. So, good luck. Now, Mr. KAZEEM, this topic, it has been a hot topic since it's been announced, about 2 weeks ago, and almost everyone have a say or an opinion about it. So my own question to you now is, what was your reaction to that news when you heard about it? How did you feel that anyone less than 18 should not be allowed to write the exam?
Well, for me, I am not surprised, and it actually didn't come to me as something as a news anyway, in any way, because the minister is only trying to actually implement the policy. It's not as if the federal government is coming up with a new policy. Federal government is only just trying to implement the policy, so it's not as if it is new. And another thing is, I feel like there is a lot of misconception actually about that policy. And God's so good. While reading the news, you talk about the fact that the Minister of State for Education, Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu, has said that there is a misconception that the ministry has not barred those that are not yet 18 from writing the exam. Now, if we would go back to what the minister actually said, that's the minister himself,
Tahir Maman,
Professor Tahir Maman. It was actually an interview on a TV station, and he said that he was actually talking about the UTME
yes.
and admission into tertiary institution, for the fact that this children need to actually attain maturity and they should be 18
Yes.
and things like that. And he said, well, in enforcing that, then WAEC and NECO also have a role to play. And for him, the emphasis he placed was on spending the right number of years.
Okay, I get it.
That
now.
for instance, that if you're supposed to spend 6 years in secondary school.
In
If you have
fact,
not
yes.
spent 6 years in secondary school, you will
You're
not
not-
write WAEC.
you're not qualified.
You are not right. You are not qualified to write WAEC. Because there are many schools today that the students actually don't. They write WAEC at SS2.
Some even at SS1 if they can have their way
So,
around it.
They write at SS2, or some they are actually made to write GCE by the time they finish SS2. So they write GCE as they are supposed to move into SS3.
Yeah.
And they start preparing for UTM. So they won't write the major
Yes.
WAEC or NECO. So they write the November December GCE, or now because WAEC also has a diet in January, they write the January February diet. So at the end of the day, they don't write
The
May June. So no
The
SS3.
school leaving certificate
So,
examination.
and that's why the minister is saying that for anyone to qualify to actually write WAEC or NECO now, you will need to spend the appropriate number of years. So I think there is a misconception concerning the fact that, so people just took it from the fact that, okay, 18 years for UTME or securing admission to the university, straight to the fact that, and the minister is saying WAEC and NECO now, so it means you are not yet 18. Because the reality is, even by what we have, and by the structure of the policy on education itself, most likely you will get to SS3 at 17.
Yes.
And remind you, when the minister first even raised this idea of 18 years for tertiary institution, he's saying that at least by 17 and a half, you would be in SS3. That if ordinarily you start schooling at 6, which is what the policy states, the minister did not design the policy. And it's not even a federal government policy. It's a national policy agreed by both the federal government and the commissioners, or 36 states, who are only implementing or giving approval to what professionals at the level of what we call the Joint Consultative Committee on Education have actually done.
Okay.
So, and the last edition, which is what we are still using till today, as far as National Policy on Education, is the 2013 edition, the 2013 edition of the national policy. So it's not even an APC policy. It's if you have to say PDP, then you say it's PDP, because the last minister that we had when that policy was actually published was a PDP minister. It started from Nyesom Wike in 2013. When Nyesom Wike left, we had Senator Ibrahim Shekarau,
Yes.
who was the Minister of Education for the remainder of the year for Goodluck Jonathan administration. And that was when we had the 2014. So it's a policy thing. And we are talking about the 6334. And with the new policy now, what we are running actually at the moment is 1934. 1 year of pre-primary education,
Okay.
where a child is supposed to be 5 years. So you spend 1 year at pre-primary school level, you become 6. So at that 6, you start secondary education. And because it is basic education, you spend 9 years straight.
Yes.
So by that time, 6 plus 9, that gives you 15. So
15.
at least 14, 15, you'll be in GSS3 and you have completed the GSS level. Then by that time, you get admission. If you get to senior secondary school as 15 years, it means by 17, 18, that's when you eventually graduate. So if the minister is now saying that for anyone to gain admission into tertiary institution, that the person must be 18 years, then the minister is not out of place. But the
Okay.
reality is just that because we've not
Been
following or implementing the policy to the latter, that's why it actually seems like, what is this man
sounding
saying?
new, like
Yes.
where did this come from?
Sure.
All right, so quickly, what is the current age that is recognized for students seeking admission into tertiary institutions now? Current age.
Okay, now, so if you look at the 1934 thing, it means that ordinarily, if I were to follow it to the latter, and a child starts primary school at 6 years, it means by 18 years, that's when you probably finish secondary school.
Yes.
So that should not be too much for you to now say that anyone that will gain admission into tertiary institution should be at 16, because what we currently have, which is what JAMB is actually implementing even up till this year, is that anyone that will gain admission into public tertiary institutions will be 16 years.
Okay.
And that's why the minister was cautioning. Initially was saying that the 18-year policy will start this year. And they said, no, minister, you cannot change the goalpost when the game has already started. Many of these students that wrote UTME this year wrote on the condition that they must be 16 by October 1, 2024. So now they have written the exam, the result is out. So we are now deliberating on what should be the minimum tolerable score in UTME before they can gain admission, where they arrived at 240. Now, at that policy meeting that he mounted again the idea of 18 years based on the fact that when he moved around during the UTME, he saw children underage. God bless you. And like, are these ones writing UTME? Where are they rushing to? Where are they going? That was when he said, no, see, let us maintain 16 years. He now said at that policy meeting, okay, I would agree. So I would reverse that decision that, okay, this year, go ahead with your 16 years. From next year, it will be 18.
Okay.
So ordinarily, so if you are to follow it, you are saying that this year, the current age for admission to tertiary as at this year is 16. But as from next year, according to the minister, it will be 18.
All right. So currently we have 16 years, but as at by 2025, which is next year, hopefully the policy will be implemented.
Some people don't actually hope for it. So.
Well, that's what we have as we speak. So now my next question is, how have parents received this news? I said some people are against it, some people support emotion, and what do you think might be the possible consequences? Positive, negative, intended or unintended, if the minister actually goes ahead with this policy implementation.
Now, and that's why I think first things first, the ministry needs to come out clearly with the policy direction as far as this issue is concerned, so that it's not just about, you are misquoting me or you are misconstruing what I've said.
That's not what I said.
That's not what I said. So what they need to come out is in black and white states the policy direction. Now, does it affect WAEC or NECO? Is it that you must be 18 before you can write WAEC or NECO, or is just that you must have spent 6 years in secondary school? So they need to be specific, because that is what will determine how parents would eventually take it up. Because for now, the general idea there, understanding is that the minister is saying if you are not 18, you cannot write WAEC or NECO. And if that is the situation, that's very, very challenging, because the implication is, if there are people there are students that are in SS2, SS1, JSS3, that on the basis of the age at which they gained admission into secondary school, they would not be 18 by the time they get to SS3. The implication would be that they will not be able to write WAEC or NECO. And they will be in limbo. And that's why people are saying, are you saying that, okay, so if my child is now in SS3, and probably my child is 16, or my child is 15, or my child is 14.
Yes.
So will my child now have to wait and sit at home for 4 years before he or she would write WAEC or NECO? So that's why I'm saying that on the basis of what the Minister of State has just said, during the week, that no, we are not saying you must be 18 before you write WAEC or NECO. So let us remove that fear now, and hoping that the ministry would also come out clearly concerning that, because the only intended consequences would mean that there will be so many people that will be hanging in the balance.
All right, so I hope that the concerned people are taking notes. So now another question is, some people have reacted that this policy belongs to the Stone Age, that it is archaic, and that the government is trying to discourage people from going to school. All sorts of conspiracy theories have sprung up, and then what they are doing is they are compounding the out of school population in Nigeria, because like you said, now if a current student now will not be 18 in about 4 years, until 4 years time, what is going to happen means that maybe when the student is in SS2, he or she will find something else to do. How would you respond to this?
First is, let me say, specifically, the idea of the statement Stone Age came from former Vice President Atiku Abubakar.
Okay.
Yes. So you've also had a lot of pushback from people like Chief Ariafe Babalola, the proprietor of Afe Babalola University.
Yes.
Then you also have private school owners, parents who have actually kicked vehemently against this policy, especially even the I think NAPTAN, the National Parent Teacher Association of Nigeria, or something like that. So now they have kicked against this policy. Now, on the part of the parents, saying that this policy belongs to the Stone Age, I think it's probably
Extreme.
it's an extreme position. I would say that the policy does not belong to the Stone Age. For me, I even think that we're actually being clever by half, or we are being insincere with the way we are reacting to this policy. And I'll be very factual. I don't like attacking personalities, but unfortunately, there is a need for me to say this. For Atiku Abubakar or for Ariafe Babalola, regardless of what you guys have achieved in your individual careers, this criticism is coming on the heels of the fact that you guys are university owner. You have private universities, and you are the ones that have actually been flouting this policy by admitting students at 14, 15.
Underage.
In fact, when this policy came, Arif Abala even still said that we would continue at ABBA will continue to admit those that are less than 18.
Because it's almost looking like bad market.
The reality is because of so that means it's on the basis of sentiment. It's not on the basis of the fact that selfish interest. It's not on the basis of the policy that was initiated by even the same PDP administration that Arif Abala supports or that Atiku Abubakar belongs to. So let us separate our individual interests from the national interest or the general interest of these students. That's number one. And for parents who probably feel that, hey, it's Stone Age thing, this is something that is backward. Hey, sorry, it's not. The reality is, in fact, let me tell you, it's not just only in Nigeria that you have some of these things. I wouldn't think that. God bless you.
Yes,
in India,
from what you read
18 plus,
India, yes.
before you gain admission to your institution.
Yes.
Let me tell you, in the UK, you cannot start primary school if you are not 6 years. Forget what you think you are. You would be engaged with some other things.
You probably homeschool your kids.
Yes, you can do that. But if you come to school, you start school at 6. If you go to Finland or even Canada, let me tell you, in Finland is even, I think, 7 years. Is the age that you start schooling. Ditto, Canada. So this idea, here we overrush and do this. That's why we are actually having students finishing at, 14, 13, 15. So it's not as if it belongs to the, Stone Age. Let me even tell you, there are some countries that when you finish your schooling, your high school, you can't even go, you don't even go straight to the university. You first go to a college or you do A levels, what we probably have in the past as higher school certificate, HSC. So that is what still operates in some countries, although we have, scrapped that now. So it doesn't belong to the Stone Age. No. It's not true that it belongs to the Stone Age. The reality is, you might say that the dynamics of the environment, things are changing, people are, but it does not mean that the policy is Stone Age policy. And it's not as if it's a new policy. We are only implementing what we have already said. If you feel like, okay, we don't want to follow it again, then let us have a round table discussion. Let us sit down to look at the policy again and probably review it. But if you have not reviewed it and someone is saying this is the law, this is the standard that we all set for ourselves, why are we not following our own agreed standard? Then don't say that the person is calling you to Stone Age. No. That you are not following the path, the right thing way, does not mean the person that is doing that is actually wrong.
All right. So, at least I've learned that it's not only Nigeria that is having the 18 years old standard. We have it in India and it is still in place. We have it in Canada and, all these countries that we look up to, it's not as if they are not practicing it too. So that takes me to my next question. Why now? Why is the government bringing this policy now in our education system? Is it in line with global best practice, or do they feel that this is what we need now?
Why now? I can't say. Sincerely, I can't say.
Okay.
But I would, if I would say anything on concerning why now, it's on the basis of the experience of the minister during the UTME, invigilation, supervision. So he's reacting and responding to what he saw, and I think it's responsible enough for you to say, if you see something wrong, you don't wait and just allow it to continue because it has become prevalent. You see, the life itself is about change. It's the only thing that's permanent in life. It's change. But then, why now? I don't know. Because I feel like there could probably be some other priorities that the federal government should be facing. But then, there is never a wrong time to do what is right. And in terms of probably whether it aligns with global standards, yes, it aligns.
Okay. All right. So, and has that in any way affected the, effectiveness of the educational system in a way that this policy is now being, they're trying to implement the policy now?
Well, if on the basis of security, because I'm trying to look at it that you have small kids of 14, 15, and you are thrusting them into the tertiary institutions.
Where we have people
Where we have, seriously, we have predators. That's the way I will call them. That are preying on these kids, on their innocence, their naivety. See, imagine that. See, in Nigeria, before you can vote or be voted for, you must be 18.
Yes.
The age of suffrage is 18. In Nigeria, before you can actually apply for driver's license and you be allowed to drive, is 18. Now, beyond that, you now want to entrust your child that is less than 15. See, probably it's because some of us live in the cities. There are some institutions that in the rural areas, in the hinterlands, where schools are established there probably to bring development to such areas. So some of these schools don't even have hostels. So you mean that you would allow a 15-year-old child of yours to actually go and rent accommodation and live alone? And that's why I say a lot of them look at this issue of kidnappings, look at this issue of probably people being abducted or being killed, or some even being deceived on the basis of social media. I met a friend, come and visit me and things like that, and before you know it, they disappear. It's because some of them are not even mature enough. And in fact, if you even look at the tertiary institutions and some Chinese people are facing, some of these kids, because they are kids, they are not even mature or prepared psychologically for some of the things that they are facing, and that's why some of them cannot handle failure. Having one caliber, you see some people, they go into drugs, some they go into cultism, some commit suicide, and so many things like that, because they've never experienced failure before. A lot of them are not psychologically prepared for tertiary institution. So if we are saying why now, I wouldn't know why the minister is saying this, but I feel like
it's high time.
It's high time we do that. Is it affecting the effectiveness, or if we don't do it? No. And that's why for me, I also think that the minister should also face some other issues of priority as far as the educational system is concerned. All
right. So what are the benefits, the potential benefits, and things that people will enjoy from this policy being implemented?
It will allow our children to mature appropriately.
Okay, maturity.
Maturity. Then number 2 is also the fact that it will allow us to have a seamless implementation and run for educational system, because this unhealthy competition, you now see it's become a status symbol. 14, 15 years, my child is already in this particular
by 19,
school.
My child is a graduate.
19 is a graduate, is already 19, because it's start competing. And that's why a lot of them, because they cannot even gain admission to public tertiary institutions, they send them to a private university.
Yes.
So we are seeing that, and at the end of the day, see, we are making these children run a rat race. We are making them live the dreams of their parents, not their own personal dreams. And I think we really need to change that. Then all this pressure, because we also have a station where people are actually skipping classes. They skip primary 5.
Yes.
Now they're also skipping SS3. So, and so many other things like that. A lot of them are actually being forced to lie. Thank God for UTM, a jam that is now coming, that came up with the policy of, we all criticized it.
Yes.
Because before then, see, I know of someone then that gained admission to a university and was 15. And because the university would not allow 16, did not present her birth certificate. The parent now had to actually change to an affidavit, to a sworn declaration of age, to claim that yes, this girl is actually 16, but then the birth certificate got lost, and so for that reason they are doing this in lieu of the birth certificate, just to tell a lie that this girl is already 16 because of admission.
What kind of foundation?
So what kind of foundation? So are you building for such children? So this falsehood, just because of admission, would also probably cease.
Indeed. Okay, so yes, last on our last edition, we treated the topic of the talented and the gifted students. How is this policy going to help some of them, in their journey to in honing their skills and helping them attain their full potentials? And or are we saying, should we just kill their brains because of this age barrier?
All right, God bless you. And this is one of the strong points, adduced by those who actually oppose this policy, that the world is moving, and you see that we have there was this case of a 17-year-old lady in the United States of America, I think Georgia University or something like that, that got PhD at the age of 17. And so many other, you have the Mafidons in the United Kingdom. They're even of Nigerian descent, but they are they are making waves in the United Kingdom. Now the reality is, you don't use the exception as a standard for the populace, for the general populace. It's wrong. And that's why, to every rule, I believe there is an exception.
I believe so.
So this particular rule does not bar or debar those who are exceptionally gifted children from attaining, higher levels of education. Let me tell you, even as it is currently, we have the school for the gifted, and they are there.
Yes.
That age requirement does not apply to them. So what should be done ordinarily is we'll conduct an IQ test or some other kinds of tests that can make us decipher the level of functionality of their brains and where we can appropriately place them.
Yes.
So you don't use that. See, are you saying 100% of our kids are exceptional? And it's because everybody is trying to claim my child is exceptional that we actually, battered this policy and decided to jettison it and decided to run this, crazy rat race. The reality is, for those ones, the federal government should actually come up with the specific guidelines on how to treat their cases.
Yes.
But ordinarily, we already have that. Or by policy, it is not there. So this is something that you even push the federal government to come up with a particular policy for the gifted people. But then we don't use their own case to now say that everybody should actually gain. So for that reason, you not say, okay, all our 17-year-olds should actually go and do PhD. Because unfortunately that is what it is, and that's why we are even trying to kill that initiative, because everybody now wants to try to prove that my own child is exceptional. See, for the exceptional children, yes, you can do that. India, that we just talked about, they have that policy, 80-20 policy. For those 20 people or even less than 20% that are exceptionally gifted, we give them a test and we place them appropriately. But for the remainder 80% or 90%, let them go through the conventional system where everybody follows the same pattern.
All right. Yes. So why I was wondering too, why are people giving this whole policy tribal or ethnic or political coloration? Does it really matter?
Well, I think it's lack of, as a result of the insincerity of majority of people that they're actually making them. Because now, see, for me, as an education management expert, and for someone who actually understands the provisions of the policy, I know there is nothing strange about this policy. So I wouldn't say they see. In fact, even the policy for the gifted children was actually, drafted and implemented by Professor Jibril Aminu, a northerner. So some people are now saying, Professor Tai Mama, you said you finished your first degree at the age of 29. So that is nice. So you now expect all our own children to also finish at 29. So it's because you are jealous. And some are even saying it's the northerners are, jealous and envious. They want to kill the educational advancement in the south, and they want to all that you people, you Boko Haram and things like that. You are backward already, so you now want to make all the children of the south to be backward. So southerners, beware, they are coming for you, they are coming for your children. See, we don't need this. Seriously, we don't need it. We don't need it. And sincerely, as far as I am concerned, it doesn't make sense that we are bringing ethnic coloration to this. It is unnecessary. It's a case of, so would you say, for instance, okay, in the UK where if you are not 6, you cannot start primary school, they are also ethnic, so they are biased against Nigerians or Africans or something like that. No. So let us not bring ethnic coloration. It doesn't worth it.
All right. So again, why are parents in a rush to get their children done with schooling, even if they have to be underage to achieve that? See,
that could be different reasons. See, a lot of parents have different reasons for doing that. For some, it's social status. They see it as a status symbol. My child finished at so.
He's a doctor at 20.
That's what for some people. But for some other people, it's a case of, see, the economy is getting harsher and harsher by the day. And see, if the schools will help me compress a 6-year program into 4 years, so I only pay money for 4 years, I'll not pay money for 6 years.
Wow,
at least that So certainly for some people, at least they will skip class. I'll not have to buy books in every class. I'll not have to do this. So that's a consideration for some. So the earlier they are able to finish, the better for them. And for some, they're also looking at it that I'll soon retire. So I cannot be using my pension to send my kids to school. So for that reason, anything that I can do for them to finish as early as possible. so that I can face some other project. I want to still build house. I want to do this, I want to do that. So I don't have enough resources. So please, if it is for my children to finish school at the age of 9, so that they can start working and I'll be independent.
That's another angle.
Another angle to it is also the fact that some of our employers of labor are not helping matters.
That's true.
Imagine you are saying that, okay, for this particular job, you need someone that is 22 years or below and that has 2 years experience. When ordinary, it doesn't make sense. Some of these things are so, and I think these are areas that even the government need to now look at.
That's
because of the employers of labor and their demands in terms of the qualification, unrealistic demands. So in terms of qualification and the years of experience they demand from these kids. So parents also want their kids to finish as early as possible so that they can probably find 1 or 2 things to do to acquire experience and they can qualify for some of these jobs.
Well, even though those are not enough reasons, because at the end of the day, you're putting the lives of these kids in danger, at risk. So, yes, what should be the fate of students? Now, I know that this is the... this is what is concerned. This was paining many parents on this table. What should be the fate of students currently in the school system and who would not be 18 by 2025?
All right. So for me, I would say this. First is that, going by what the minister said, if that is the reality of the situation, it means that they will not be stopped from writing WAEC or NECO. But in terms of now gaining admission to tertiary institutions, are there things they can do? Yes. For me, ordinarily, there are so many other activities that we need to allow our children engage in for them to mature, to gain experience, to be exposed before they actually gain admission to tertiary institutions. So depending on probably even their choice of career and the age at which they finish, there are so many other things, other kinds of training. Some are academic, some are vocational, some they are even professional in nature that they can engage in during that waiting period before they get admission to tertiary institution. And for some, they even write A levels. Some for some of these international exams they do that. Some they actually learn some other languages, soft skills,
martial arts,
some other professional skills. Let me tell you, okay, for instance, someone in the arts, you can actually go and learn a foreign language. You can go for some other special training, like for instance, look at this art of journalism and some other things like that. Professional schools that offer professional training and certification courses in them, they can do that. If you are, for instance, in the business department, nothing says you cannot actually register for some of these professional examinations like ICANN, ANAN, some other ACCA, so many, CIPM. For those in the sciences, probably you can even go for some of this AutoCAD training, IT training, networking, and so many. See, there are so many things that we really need to engage them. So it's important that we know that there are some other life skills.
Yes.
That come in handy, survival skills that we really need to allow them engage. Because unfortunately, even during the holidays, while they are in school, we don't even allow them have holidays.
They are not living life as it should be lived.
I know school owners will not like this, but then during holiday you talk about summer coaching. When we are in Nigeria, you don't have summer in Nigeria. And you are teaching them what they will still eventually do
when
or learn when they resume. So just because you want to engage the teachers, you don't want the teachers just to get free salary. So teachers don't rest, students don't rest just because you want to make money. See, it's not like that. See, there are so many things these kids need to learn about life beyond just math, English, physics, chemistry, biology, account, and so on like that. See, this is the time for them to also do that. For them to even travel, let them get exposed, let them mix with people. See, a lot of them, attitude-wise, they are bankrupt. Some of them don't even see their exposure, their disposition to life is faulty. See, they're just like robots. They're just being progress. That's the way we are turning them.
Imagine unfortunately, a 2-year-old resuming school at
7
p.m.
now. So we have not allowed them experience life. It's been back to back. In fact, at the point someone is saying that we don't have an educational system. What we have is actually an examination system. So, and that probably is an opportunity for us to, make some of those, adjustments.
All right. So, moving on, are there alternative solutions or, modifications or editing that can be used to aid the acceptance and implementation of this policy?
For me, I would say that let these children. So, for me, I would say we should
wait till 2026. For the current SS3 to...
So there are ways by which you can do that. So we can modify it to allow those that are currently within the system, that started within the system, to leave before we implement. Or for some, you might say that, see, let them write WAEC NECO so that they have completed secondary school. So what they now do, let them fill the missing gaps before they actually go to tertiary institutions.
And then the rest will be on UTM, on JAM.
Yes. Beyond that is also the fact that we also need to do a lot of supervisory work at the lower levels. See, I think we're actually even starting from the wrong point.
Maybe, probably.
You are starting at the end point when you ought to start from, you ought to move it to the starting point.
From the common entrance, it's 7-year-old.
It's not common entrance alone. From the age of entry into primary school. Okay. So what exactly are the office of OEQA, quality assurance officers doing? And you check through their records, you check their birth certificate, you check the directories of the schools and things like that. Okay, the class attendance list, you look at the children, you look at their names, you look at, okay, this is your date of birth and things like that. At this age, in this class, you don't belong. So that is from that entry level. Go what the days when our fathers would tell us that by the time you want to go to school, they'll tell you to do like this. If your hand cannot touch your ear, you cannot start primary school. So it means if you are not yet 6, you cannot start primary school, you'll be sent back home. See, let us go back to that point. By the time we implement it and enforce it at that level, we will not be having this issue at the terminal, point when they finish secondary school. So I think that's where we need to look at it from. So let us modify it, especially for the sake of those who are already within the system. We should not stop anybody from writing exam, but we can actually determine when they would gain admission into tertiary institution. Then beyond that is also the fact that, see, we can also allow some of these exams, especially like UTME, to have how will I put it, a lifespan of more than 1 year. See, people write international exam, they write GRE until it's, you can use it for 5 years, SAT and so many of these other exams, that you can use it for multiple years before you probably be required to write another one if you actually did not use it. So I think if you start with such policy, so yes, so the pressure on so you mean I have to write UTME again? Because at the end of the day, see, the truth is, if they write WAEC or they write UTME, they are not assured that instantly they will pass everything at a go. Yes. So for us to now say until they do this before they can write this exam, no, let everybody write.
The pressure is there already.
Let everybody write, whatever age. But the thing is, you will not be able to use that result until you have met with this particular requirement. I think by the time we modify it that way, it would be better.
All right. So you already answered the question of where to begin, this eradication of underage students. So lastly, to round this segment up, is what advice do you have for different stakeholders, to be able to resolve the brouhaha around this policy?
For me, I think that the approach, I think I would fault the approach of the minister. Okay. In the sense that, see, change is not easy to drive. And for us to have a meaningful and effective policy implementation that would require such a kind of change first in orientation and the way it is received and things like that, there should have been proper deliberations, negotiation or discussion about the policy before we come up with this decision or directive.
They just come on national TV
see and just announce like that. See, no, they'll tell you that you lack human face, you lack initiative, or you lack human feeling and things like that. See, I would have expected that. Let us have a robust, in fact, a national debate on this matter. People will come with their ideas, the pros and cons, and let us look at. So at the end of the day, we can see how well we can juggle everything and modify, chop and shape until we get what we want. So we don't need to probably continue, okay, this is a colonial legacy, we must continue like that, or this is the way it has always been done, we continue. No. The world is changing. So we can need to look at the realities of the Nigerian environment to see if at all, for instance, we can decide that this law, this policy is antiquated. We don't want to use it anymore. If probably they are still using it in the UK, US, that is US, this is Nigeria, this is who we are, and this is how we want to actually chart our way forward. So let us have, these robust discussions on this matter before we come up with a final position on it. And I think if we adopt such an approach, it will reduce, this, opposition or resistance that some of our policies always face. Because the government is appearing to be draconian. And one thing you must remember is that
See, law is made for man. Man is not made for
law.
So at the end of the day, so whatever policy, whatever law, whatever directive that we are bringing, let it reflect the humanity in us, and let us also understand and show that it is the same human beings that we're also trying to implement it on. And whoever that, see, in management, whoever that will be affected by a policy that you're bringing must have been consulted and must be engaged before at the policy formulation stage.
All right. In fact, I really enjoyed this discuss, and I don't want it to end, but sadly, we've come to the end of the discuss segment, and we would like to appreciate Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM, and we'll go on another real quick break. When we return, it's going to be a wrap on the program. Please stay with us. You're welcome to the Words on the Marble segment of Education Today, where we take a look at memorable quotes that are educational as well as inspirational to everyone. And today we have a quote from Susie KAZEEM. And according to Susie, stand up for what is right, even if it means standing alone. And that's our Words on the Marble for today. This implies that at all times you should do the right thing, even if no one else agrees with you at the moment, because eventually they will get to realize that you were actually right. And standing your ground on what is right also makes you gain respect from others, even if they view things differently from you, because sooner or later they'll realize that you are on the right side of the argument. And I think we have a winner on Facebook. So we have Zuleika Odukoya. She commented August 15, 1947 as the year in which India gained independence from Britain. And yes, she is right. So congratulations to Zuleika Odukoya. We'll reach out to you on how to redeem your prize. And this is to inform you, our esteemed listeners, that you can sponsor this program and advertise your products and services, as well as showcase your events on our program. This you can do by calling the number 0702 507 4268 or 0703-953-8998. Thank you very much for joining us today. And I would also like to, thank Zuleika Odukoya once again, Oladimeji Yusuf Ayinde, Arani Yaya, Said Aremu, Olalekan Aminat, Aliamin Abdurazak, Ridwan, Afusat, Jimo, Rodiat, Oladimeji, Amoli Jr. Thank you all for joining us on the program. We appreciate your, constant support and engagement. Let us know how you feel about today's program through our various platforms on Facebook /Education Today. And you can also send an email to us via educationmediaservices@gmail.com. Once again, many thanks to the entire crew of Education Today and the management of Light Radio for providing us this platform to showcase our program to the world. The supervising producer has been Feyi. Thank you. And do join us same time next week on this station, Light Radio. I remain Nima Ibrahim. See you next week and goodbye.
ẹ̀dàkúnyé